Hello students. Previously we saw that breathing is process of gaseous exchange between lungs and atmosphere. It has two phases, inhalation and exhalation. In our previous video, we have already learned what inhalation is. Do you remember? Yes, you remember correctly. It is the process of taking in of air while taking out of air is called as exhalation. So let us see how exhalation occurs. During exhalation, the muscles of the diaphragm relax and return to their dome shape. Simultaneously, the external intercostal muscles relax, bringing the ribcage back to its original position. These changes cause the volume of thorax to decrease, which in turn causes air pressure inside the thorax to increase again and cause air to leave the lungs. This causes CO2-rich air to move out through the nasal cavity. And with this, one breathing cycle also gets completed. Immediately after this, the next breathing cycle starts. But students, do you know that even after this exhalation, all the carbon dioxide from the body is not exhaled, and some amount of carbon dioxide still remains in the lungs? Yes, this remaining CO2 prevents lungs from collapsing. In vacuum, human lungs tend to collapse. So this remaining CO2 prevents creation of vacuum inside the lungs cavity. Also, some carbon dioxide dissolves in the blood and moves inside as in the form of chemical known as sodium bicarbonate. And do you know what purpose this sodium bicarbonate serves? It acts as a buffer in our blood, which stops our blood from becoming very acidic or very basic due to chemicals present inside the blood. Now students, when the body size of animals is small, their requirement for oxygen is also small. And thus, in such animals, diffusion alone can serve the purpose of respiration. But when the body size of animals is large, their requirement is also large. And thus, diffusion alone cannot take care of oxygen delivery to all the parts of the body. And it cannot supply oxygen to all the parts equally and at faster rate. So then what do we do? But we need not worry about it. To solve this problem, complex animals are provided with respiratory pigments. These respiratory pigments take up oxygen from the air inside the lungs while it enters the blood and carry it to all the tissues which are deficient in oxygen. And the same respiratory pigments collect carbon dioxide from the cells of the tissue and bring it back to the lungs. This arrangement makes sure that oxygen reaches all the cells, and that too at a faster rate. In human beings, the respiratory pigment is hemoglobin, which has very high affinity for oxygen. This pigment is present in RBCs as we know it. When hemoglobin binds to inhaled oxygen, it is called as oxyhemoglobin, represented as HbO2, and when hemoglobin binds to CO2, it is called as carboxyhemoglobin, represented as HbCO2. Hb stands for hemoglobin. So in this video, we have seen how respiratory system works. In our next video, we will see one other system called a circulatory system.